Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Mosaic Travel Design channel, and welcome back to another episode of Now Boarding, where we discuss the latest travel news and industry updates. My name is Laura, and on the last episode we talked a lot about the different countries that are planning on reopening this summer, including Italy, France, and Germany, and we also talked about the cruise lines that are restarting this summer, including Regent going to Hawaii. We also talked about Princess Cruise Line heading back to Alaska, and on today's episode we are going to continue and talk about all the different cruise lines that are starting up this summer, their start dates, their itineraries, and what are some of the rules and regulations that are going to be allowed on board, since they've been working a lot with the CDC. We're going to talk about that. We've also got some country updates with Europe, some things that are reopening, and we've also got some interesting airline information to share with you today. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about some CDC updates in relation to the cruise industry. A lot of people are wondering whether cruising will ever get back to how it was pre-pandemic, and the answer seems to be that if you're vaccinated, you can get really close to how cruising was pre-pandemic. The CDC is saying that a lot of cruise lines are going to be eligible to sail if 95% of the crew and passengers are fully vaccinated before boarding. If that is the case, a lot of mask rules and social distancing rules on board will be relaxed if it meets that vaccination threshold, if that cruise line is meeting that. Now, a lot of cruise ships gear towards a lot of younger clientele, a lot of kids on their ships, such as Carnival, Royal Caribbean, and those kids may not be eligible for the vaccination at this time. So what the CDC is saying is they can do some trial cruises. So they get a lot of volunteers that have the A-OK from their doctor to be a volunteer for this trial cruise, and then the trial cruises will go out to make sure that all health and safety protocols are top-notch and everything goes according to plan, and gives the crew time to practice with the new health and safety protocols. So those are some updates from the CDC as to what they're doing and what kind of rules are relaxing. Now, Celebrity Cruise Lines is actually kicking off their first big ship voyage since everything happened last year with the coronavirus pandemic. They are actually leaving on Saturday, June 5th for their very first voyage in North America, which is very exciting. They're doing a 7-night voyage out of St. Martin, and it's also going to Barbados, Aruba, and Curacao. So I'm very curious to hear how that goes, get some information from the passengers that are on board, see what their experience was like. I think that's going to be really interesting to see if they felt safe, if they felt okay with some more relaxed mask mandates on the ship, just get their opinions and see how that very first sailing went. So that's really exciting. One other thing to note is that some cruise lines are providing contact tracing technology, is what they're calling it, such as Royal Caribbean. They are rolling out mandatory waterproof bracelets for guests to make it easier to pinpoint any kind of exposure in the event of an outbreak. So like I mentioned, Royal Caribbean does gear towards a lot of kids and children on their cruise lines. Those kids might not be eligible for the vaccination status, so they're going to have to run a lot of trial cruises, and I'm sure these bracelets will be part of that trial cruise to make sure that everything's working okay, and that if something does happen, they know what to do and the steps to take to prevent any further outbreaks. So that is really exciting. The Celebrity Cruise Line, Celebrity ship that's going out is a Millennium. It's the first of several major cruise ships to restart in North America. And Royal Caribbean will also be launching its first North America sailing on June 12th. That will be sailing to the Bahamas and Mexico. And then Celebrity also has another ship leaving Fort Lauderdale on June 26th. So we are seeing a lot of movement with the cruise lines now. I know they were hoping to start by, I think they were hoping to start by July 4th, or mid-summer, but they are just getting out there with all this help from the CDC. They know they've been working very closely with people at the CDC to make sure that everything is a-okay to go and start sailing. So we've got Celebrity sailing in June, we've got Royal Caribbean sailing in June, and it's interesting because both of those ships, both of those cruise lines, they are geared towards different clientele. So we've got Celebrity, which has a lot more families and older clientele, and then we've got Royal Caribbean with a lot of kids, young families. So it'll be interesting to hear about everybody's experience on those two ships, because they're both doing something a little different. Celebrity has the vaccination threshold at 95%. Royal Caribbean has done some trial cruises and has those bracelets going on. So that will be really interesting to see how that goes. We also have Carnival Cruise Line, which is the latest fleet to get the approval from the CDC and begin hitting U.S. waters. They're going to focus on the port of Galveston, which is in Texas, as well as Miami and Canaveral in Florida, to return to operations this summer. The Carnival Horizon ship, which we actually did a ship inspection on and have a video on it, so if you're interested in seeing that ship, definitely take a look at our video on that. That's going to be leaving Miami, and the Carnival Vista and the Carnival Breeze ships are going to be out of Galveston, and they're going to be carrying passengers in July. We don't have an exact date for that, but sometime in July, Carnival will be looking to go ahead and start sailing since they got the green light from the CDC. We also have some updates from Disney. Now, Disney obviously caters to the younger kids, so they are going to have to do the test cruises that I mentioned, the trial cruises. They did receive approval to start that at the end of this month. The test cruises will not have the mandate of the 95% vaccinated passengers because they are looking to test Disney cruises for kids which aren't eligible for the vaccine at this time. So since a lot of guests would be unvaccinated, they are doing these test cruises. That is required. The test cruises for Disney will start on June 29th from Port Canaveral and include the volunteers acting as passengers. It will run through July 1st, and then we will get the results from that and see how everything goes. All right, we also have some updates on MSC Cruises. MSC Cruises just announced that they have a massive new vessel that they have ordered for delivery in late 2022. The MSC World Europa is going to be 22 decks high. Yes, you heard that right, 22 decks high, which is 4 decks higher than the current size leader in the cruise world, which is Royal Caribbean's Symphony of the Seas. So 4 whole decks higher. That is pretty crazy. I'm really excited to start seeing some pictures of that. It won't quite be the largest cruise ship because the Symphony of the Seas, as well as those sister vessels, the Oasis, Allure, and Harmony, those are still bigger in length and width, but it is going to be the highest number of decks with 22, so that's pretty cool. The initial sailings will start in December of 22, and they're going to do some sailings in the Middle East, in Saudi Arabia, which is very interesting. That's not a destination that's often hit with cruise ships, but I think that's going to be really interesting to see. I'm very curious to see if there is demand for that. I do think that would be the best way to visit Saudi Arabia if you're interested, if you're really well traveled, you've been everywhere, you've done all the cruises. This could be one for you on MSC visiting Saudi Arabia. Let me know in the comments below if you would sail a cruise to Saudi Arabia and if that's something you would be interested in. I'm very curious. So the vessel will initially sail a 4-night sailing from Qatar to Dubai and do some regular 7-night voyages from Dubai, which would be going to Saudi Arabia. And then departing Dubai on March 25th, 2023, the ship would reposition in the Mediterranean and do some 7-night voyages in ports in Italy, France, Malta, and Spain. So that's definitely more up a lot of people's alley is the Mediterranean cruises. But I thought that was very interesting that this ship would be stopping in Saudi Arabia. So. All right, we also want to talk about the luxury cruise line Regent 7 Seas. They are looking to relaunch their entire fleet starting this fall. Starting in October, the cruise line will sail from Venice on their ship, the 7 Seas Explorer. They will be doing Mediterranean itineraries, including Italy, Croatia, and Greece. And then in November, their all-balcony suite ship will sail across the Atlantic and do Southern Caribbean itineraries before heading back to Europe in April of 2022. So we also have the 7 Seas Mariner coming back in December. It will head out of Miami to San Francisco and travel in Latin America, including Costa Rica and a couple of stops in Mexico. And then January 2022, the ship will actually set out on their world cruise, which includes 17 countries and 43 UNESCO World Heritage Sites, which is very exciting. I'm sure they are pumped to be able to do this world cruise. I know the world cruises sell out so quickly. They're announced and within days, world cruises will completely sell out. So it's very exciting to see another world cruise going out. Again, that's going to be in January of 2022. So pretty soon. The Seven Seas Navigator ship will also set sail January 2022 with winter itineraries to the Southern Caribbean. If you're interested in going to the Southern Caribbean, this would be a great ship to go on. And followed by that, they're going to be, the Seven Seas Voyager is going to be in the Mediterranean in February of 2022. For Regent Seven Seas, quick update, all guests and crew must be fully vaccinated at least 2 weeks prior to boarding the ship, so that everything is all set there. That's why they're allowed to sail, as everyone has to be vaccinated. And guests are also required to take a rapid antigen test before embarking, as well as a second test before disembarking the ship. So very important to note that, which I think is a great protocol to have, especially with these world cruises that they're looking to do in the fall and winter coming up. All right, everyone, let's go ahead and switch gears and talk about some of the countries that are reopening, some changes that are going on with some countries, and what is going on with Australia. So first of all, we want to announce that Spain is reopening on June 7th. They are allowing people from anywhere in the world to enter the country, and they are also allowing ships to dock in their ports. That was just announced last week by the Prime Minister. So June 7th is the big day for Spain. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about Australia. What is going on in Australia? So the country has been on a very tight lockdown for the entire coronavirus pandemic. No one can travel into Australia, and the actual Australian residents can't even leave the country. There is a complete ban on international travel for fear that they will bring home the COVID-19 virus. So it was brought to an Australian court to see if they could loosen some of those lockdown rules, but that was rejected. So the Australian ban on international travel is still in place. The residents cannot leave the country unless they have exceptional circumstances or a compelling reason that is determined by the government. So these border controls have been very important to keep COVID-19 out of Australia, and they are still remaining in place. We've seen a lot of European countries opening up, so we wanted to give a quick update with Australia. Still not open, and honestly, I'm not even sure when it will open, especially with this being rejected. There's no opening date in sight for Australia at this time. Now let's go ahead and move to St. Lucia. St. Lucia has been very popular right now with people trying to do some quick Caribbean getaways. It's been opened for a little while now, and it's had some strict rules in place for COVID. There's only certain places you could travel on the island. However, that is changing. If you are a vaccinated traveler visiting St. Lucia, it's going to be a whole lot easier to travel and move around the island. So this new policy just went into effect that if you are fully vaccinated, you are now free to move around the island, enjoy all the views, all the gorgeous beaches. We were actually in St. Lucia back in 2019, checking out a lot of the resorts, and we loved it. It was gorgeous. I highly recommend going to St. Lucia. And now it's easy to move around the whole island and see everything that you want to see. So it is still required that you take a negative COVID test no more than 5 days before arrival. And the new protocol exempts fully vaccinated travelers from restrictions on where they can go and what they can do while on the island. So you are now cleared to rent cars and explore the destination on your own, visiting restaurants, local markets, wherever you want to go. They will be issued wristbands. So if you're a vaccinated traveler going to St. Lucia, you will have a wristband at the airport that will reflect your vaccination status. All you need to do is bring your original vaccination card with you, and you will be issued that wristband, and that will show where you can go on the island. So that's very exciting that we're seeing some more restrictions easing, and that's very exciting, and hopefully we'll see more of this with other Caribbean islands and other countries in the future as well. All right, and last but certainly not least, we wanted to touch on a few different airline updates that I think you guys will find interesting and helpful. So first of all, we're talking about the middle seat blocking policy. As of Tuesday, June 1st, the final U.S. carrier, which was Alaska Airlines, has ended the middle seat blocking policy across all cabins, so there is now no major U.S. airline left that is blocking middle seats. That was very big at the beginning of the pandemic to provide that social distancing by blocking the middle seat. That is now not the case for any airline. A lot of them have already announced that they ended that, but Alaska Airlines was the last one that was still doing it, and as of June 1st, they are no longer blocking middle seats. Another piece of interesting information is from United Airlines that is turning to supersonic jets, and you have to comment down below your thoughts on this because I'm very curious to hear. I was so interested in this. I don't know why, but I just found it really fascinating. So there's been supersonic jets in the past, but I'm very curious to see how this is going to work with the new technology of today and how everything goes. So anyhow, United Airlines announced on Thursday that they're buying 15 planes from Boom Supersonic with the option to purchase 35 more at some point. So Boom is the first commercial supersonic jet. It hasn't been built or certified yet, but it is in the process to start passenger service in 2029. So there's a lot of time, but I'm still very curious about this plane because it would cut flight times in half, which is insane. I think that would be so cool. So basically that means a flight from New York to London that's typically about 7 hours would only take about 3.5 hours. Can you imagine getting to London in 3.5 hours? That would be, oh, that would be ideal. I would love that. I'd be going to London all the time. So anyhow, when United gets this all in the works and everything's approved and the planes are built and up for passenger travel, they are looking to target their long-haul international flights, such as San Francisco to Tokyo with this supersonic jet, as well as New York to Paris. Those would be the routes that they're specifically looking at. So again, drop me a comment down below and let me know, would you fly on a supersonic jet with United on one of these routes, and what do you think about cutting your flight time in half? Sounds amazing, right? All right, our next update about United Airlines is they are returning service to Tahiti on June 3rd. The carrier is restarting their San Francisco Papeete route on the Boeing 787. It will operate 3 days out of the week, which will be so exciting. We obviously talked about in a previous episode that French Polynesia opened their borders. I believe that was on May 1st. And this flight is now restarting, going to Papeete on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So if you are looking to go to French Polynesia, this is definitely a great option for you. 3 times a week, it allows a lot of flexibility for flights. So French Polynesia, yes, they did open their borders on May 1st to Americans and those in the United States. All travelers have to fill out the French Polynesia electronic travel information system. And if you're fully vaccinated or you can prove that you've previously had COVID-19 with a test for antibodies, then you are exempt from the quarantine. If you do not have your vaccine and can't prove that you've had COVID-19 with your antibodies, then you do have to participate in the 10-day quarantine. Additionally, all travelers must possess a negative PCR test taken 3 days before travel, and upon arrival, travelers will also undergo a rapid antigen test and another PCR test on your 4th day of your stay. So if those tests all come back negative, then you're good to go and continue on your journey in Tahiti. All right, everyone, so those are the updates that I have for you today, all about the cruise industry, a few different countries, and some updates on the airlines. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!